Ultimate2 capital G here. Got a couple of mighty duels for you guys to check out, showing you a deck comprised entirely of boss monsters. This is a really interesting concept, and we're starting to see more people play decks like this because as your opponent wants to go first, whether it be with Spiral or Shadows, and essentially set up a board, we know that there are so many powerful go second cards in the game. A lot of these go second decks can run extravagance because they don't really care about their extra deck all that much, and things like kaijus are just so incredibly strong when going second. You also have very powerful hand traps, and Nibiru, the Primarial, being such a powerful card. You got Lightning Storm that just came out in Ignition Assault for the back row deck, so people are feeling kind of emboldened when it comes to going second. But yeah, this deck is just completely comprised of dropping big ass monsters on your opponent's head. Now the turn one, not going to be that impressive by the Time Thief player. Just going to go for Redoer, set one, and then pass. Not the greatest thing. Honestly, if he would, this is not the worst turn one because you do have Ash for Disruption. You also have a Redoer, which has a trap under it, the Phantom Knights of Brigadine, or yeah, Shade Brigadine. So you could at least like spin one of your opponent's cards. It's like 2 disruptions. I mean, the point I'm making is it could be worse, but unfortunately, when you got the Kaiju, that's really bad. And you know what would made it even worse? The Time Thief Redoer actually hit a spell card, so he would have been able to spin a card and draw a card, which would have put him in pretty much like an even game state, especially because the Redoer would have banished itself as well. Anyways, when you kaiju your opponent, just like with Crusadia, obviously when you're playing Mech Knights, you can match up the columns. Very, very important. This means you can drop that. You can activate your Purple Nightfall. It is going to get Ash, but no problem. Going to normal summon that Cyberstein. They're going to pay 5,000 life points, bring out this huge big boy right here. This card can actually attack twice, but it can't attack directly. RIP. It's going to run over the Kaiju, and it's able to do a lot of damage, but unfortunately not able to attack directly in that turn. No problem, just go for the BLS Link. A lot of control decks, Salamangreats and Altergeist, they really, really struggle with the card. They basically can't really out it. I mean, there'd be no problem for this deck to out it because, you know, you got the Kaijus, but in general, they're not really doing that good. Anyways, the Coco deck is going to be going second once again. This is against Invoke, which is just hellaciously popular right now. I mean, everybody and their mama is just trying to pick up those Invoke cards. Invoke opening without Magical Meltdown, though, not really. That's not it. If you don't open with Magical Meltdown. But look, you've got Super Polymerization. You've got Solemn Judgment and Ghost Ogre. So you have 3 defensive cards. Maybe you can make that happen. Is this... I'm trying to see what's on top of their deck. Okay, so you're not even close to getting an Ouster or Solemn Strike. Anyways, he is going to go for the Mech Knight play. A quick Solemn Judgment. That is... Man, these guys are quick on the trigger with these freaking counter traps. Anyways, he did just go ahead and activate Neos Fusion, which gets some Rainbow Neos on field. I love these Neos cards so much. Gonna activate the effect to spin all that back row. Opponent will use Ghost Ogre, but they did not read the effect of Neos Fusion, which says you can just banish it from the graveyard to protect against destruction. And I think he's just gonna get one punched here. Yeah, basically he just scoops it up because you already paid 4,000 life points. And then Rainbow Neos is 45. But you can see right here, even if he didn't have the Neos Fusion, he had Fusion Destiny as well. So there are definitely a lot of big plays with this deck. Anyways, we'll pause for one quick second and you'll check out the madness that happens to be this Coco boss deck. So here it is. I guess you know what? I just thought about it. We didn't need to pause at all. This is interesting. Playing Anti-Spell Fragrance with all of these damn spells. I guess when you really think about it, you would like to think that this deck doesn't have that many strong plays, especially when going first, because it is clearly a go second deck. I think that's where maybe the anti-spell you could take advantage, because if you have anti-spell and then you set your spells, then you can basically lock your opponent out of their spells for a turn, and then you can just go ahead. Now, I guess technically you can still activate these fusion spells, and you can still set, like, you know, super polymerization and stuff like that, so it's not the worst. We got the random 1 copy of Trickstar Candina in here, and I guess you could possibly run like a Carabane, but then it's like, how many Trickstar cards do you want to potentially run? Candina's in here because you do normal summon her and then she can get you light stage, and that can lock down a back row against your opponent. You know, light stage is still such a ridiculously strong field spell, so that's why this does kind of make sense. You just go ahead and normal summon, lock it down. Plus, if you draw the reverse, if you draw the light stage instead of the copy of Candina, then it's kind of like the same exact result. You just end up searching a monster and still locking down your opponent. So very good normal summon. And when you look at this deck, what else are you normal summoning anyways? I mean, the only thing I really see worthy of normal summoning is probably just the Cyberstein. I guess you could throw maybe one more Destiny Hero monster in here so that if you hard draw one of your Destiny Hero cards, you can still use your Fusion Destiny. I mean, maybe just one like solid D-Hero monster in a vacuum. Probably not wanting to go with like 3 copies of Malicious, but clearly it's like a go second deck. But if you do go first, you do have a couple of options. Things like Red Reboot, Evenly Matched, they're in here as well because they are go second cards. But I think you could substitute some of this stuff for like Lightning Storm. If you found yourself playing against a ton of control decks, you could possibly drop like the Super Polymerization and throw in some Lightning Storms just to replace. But yeah, just definitely an interesting concept. Anyways, if you guys want to download this deck and just mess around with it, of course, it will be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.